Okay, kids, so let's quickly go through this. As I mentioned, the murder mystery started off as a STEAM project for calculus, and it was called STEAM in Forensic Science. And this is when we first started STEAM projects before we developed more requirements, so keep that in mind. Forensic science is the practice of scientific methods and processes of problems relating to crime or the public. Forensic science is used to apply government and law regulations and statutes to solve disputes, assess blame, and initiate responsibility and improve public safety. So a forensic scientist collects data, analyzes data, evidence, and communicates with law enforcement, right? A whole bunch of like the educational pathway. But we're going to focus on what I want to expose you and prepare you for why calculus is part of the blood splatter activity. Has anyone heard or have seen in crime shows the process of stringing? Has anyone seen that before? Okay, does anyone, great, Arthur. Has anyone watched that show Dexter before in your life? Okay, we have one. So I'm going to show you a clip from Dexter because it's actually super cool and it explains why. Interesting, so some programs you don't require calculus to get into forensic science, but then they do require you to take calculus when you are there. And we're going to look at the mathematical applications. Now, this is the estimated starting salary for a forensic scientist in Canada. Antoinette Campbell is a forensic scientist in Philadelphia. She's the founder of a nonprofit association of women in forensic science, which started in 2010. I just want to use this to remind you when you're doing your STEAM projects, please pick an influencer that's relevant to you. You connect with them in some personal way, whether it's you connect with them culturally, you connect with them because you admire what they're doing, but there should be a connection, right? You don't want to, and that's why I love modern day trailblazers and influencers as opposed to the person in 1876 in the field, okay? Here's some statistics. 54% are female, 40% are male, and some fun facts. But the first type of mathematical relevance for forensic science is the estimated time of death. So mathematics, and of course, we're not testing you on math and forensic science. So this is just to give you an introduction and relationship between, we use mathematical formulas to talk about livor mortis, the discoloration of death, the coldness of death, and the stiffness of death. I believe these are all the Latin terms for them. When an individual dies, the 3 stages of death the body goes through when decomposing over the first 24 to 48 hours help medical examiners determine how long the body has been dead for. So this is crucial in solving crimes, right? And pinning a particular suspect to a crime, you need to have the mathematical calculations behind it. And here are some dt over dt, the temperature, the derivative of the temperature of the object over the temperature of the surroundings. We have two different variables for T, and that is Newton's law of cooling, can be used in forensic science, where you'll see when you get to university that you're applying calculus to these formulas that have all these different types of subscripts, especially when you're going into science, life science, engineering, related mathematics. And when you're researching for your STEAM projects, you will also see application word problems that have a ton of different variables, but they always define each variable. The temperature of the given body at time t. The surrounding temperature is T subscript S. T subscript O is the initial temperature of the body. So even though this might look like a boring formula to you, when you actually start to decipher it and plug in the relevant information, the mathematics actually tell an interesting story. And when you're researching for your STEAM projects in your field, these word problems, application problems, should be important information for you. It's also a window into the future of why you're taking calculus. You're taking calculus so you can understand the language. So this particular word problem, and you do know for your STEAM projects, you are looking at, I'm not asking you to teach what a calculus teacher would teach. I'm asking you to research and understand application word problems for Unit 9 relevant to your field. So water is heated at 80 degrees Celsius for 10 minutes. How much would be the temperature if K is equal to 0.56 per minute? Now, this is a general Newton's law of cooling formula, but that can be now take that same formula and you're applying it to the topic, forensic science. A person was found dead in their home at 10:56 p.m. The temperature of the body at the time was 31 degrees Celsius. An hour later, it was 30 degrees Celsius. The temperature of the room where the body was found was 22 degrees Celsius. This is what investigators or forensic scientists actually look at. Real world applications of mathematics. And so something in your Unit 9, you're not just listing the steps. And notice the steps are written correctly mathematically for your STEAM projects. You're also explaining what they're doing. That's telling me you're not just copying it from a textbook, but you're understanding the mathematical step. Whether you're transposing from both sides, you're balancing, you're isolating a variable, you're taking the derivative, you should be explaining in words, okay? And so you can see with the blue text, she is breaking down the solutions that she researched into words and steps. Therefore, with all these different steps, the murder happened 4 hours and 20 minutes before 10:56 p.m., which was at 6:36 p.m. So they need to find a suspect that does not have an alibi and can be pinned to that particular location, the particular crime scene at that time, or approximately around that time. Analyzing blood splatter is another mathematical application because you're calculating angles, and that's what you're going to explore on Monday, and Ms. Villazola is going to walk you through it. The area of convergence, the angle of impact, and the area of origin. So throughout the next 3 activities, you will follow the above steps in analyzing the blood splatter on the right. So there's a definition of area of convergence. You can actually draw lines from each point of the blood splatter, and where the lines intersect through a process of stringing, that is going to be defined as the point of convergence. So there are different steps here that and there is a formula we're going to use. The angle of impact, the angle at which a blood drop strikes a surface, is we use trigonometry, very simple trigonometry, the arc sine of the width of the stain over the length of the stain, in order to solve mathematically the angle of impact. So in the activity on Monday, you're going to be looking at area of convergence, angle of impact, and one more thing, I believe, the point of origin. The point of origin is going to tell you the height of your suspect, which is, you're going to have a number of different suspects. So the height of the suspect is very important in solving your murder mystery. And here's just some mathematics related to that. So here's an example where you have a blood splatter that has been given to you. So using strings, you're going to take different points of the blood splatter and follow a line. And you're going to figure out if all those lines are moving in the same direction. You're not going to do this with paper and pencil lines. You're going to do it with actual string. So it's going to be a 3D situation. I'm going to show you what I mean in a second. And you're going to be calculating the angle of impact and the point of origin using these strategies. So I am going to provide you with some videos that break this down slowly so that you can watch them before Monday. The last opportunity where mathematics are involved is when we have ballistics, and we're calculating the velocity in relation to ballistics. So does anyone know what ballistics means? That term? Ballistics, yes, no. Yes, preferably bullets, a gun, the trajectory of a gun, how you know that a particular gun was used in a crime. Ballistics, there's a whole bunch of math and calculus related to the muzzle energy, the acceleration. Projectile motion is the motion of an object projected or thrown into the air, subject to the acceleration of gravity. So CSI students actually look at all of this in the CSI course. So if you don't like math, it's not ideal to take that course. We have actual formulas for the muzzle velocity, the speed of a projectile with respect to the muzzle energy, the kinetic energy of a bullet. So this is where science and math converge, they meet. And there's some questions that she researched. But you understand, as she's doing the STEAM project, she's researching topics that are extremely relevant to her field, but she's also connecting it back to mathematics, okay? And this is, if she just did a calculus course, that she never would have learned any of these things. Your STEAM project is an opportunity for you to get a window into what you're going to be exploring at the university level, okay? So this was just meant to be a little bit of an introduction. I'm going to pause.